morning and welcome. You're with us here on Business. Today we're tracking market opening for you. Let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and financial world this morning. Gold resumes its climb after a short breather last night, closes in on $5,600 per ounce. US President Donald Trump ramps up tensions with Iran. The humble copper also surges past $14,500 a ton for the first time. Prices up 11% in overnight trade. The Prime Minister Economic Advisory Council member Neelkant Mishra tells Business Today TV that MSMEs could again be the focus in Budget 2026. Flags reforms related to deregulation and urbanization as the need of the hour and makes it clear that the depreciation in the rupee is not a structural problem but does need a permanent fix. A big warning in the economic survey. The report card tabled in Parliament yesterday says cash transfers or freebies by states are not financially sustainable and may crowd out growth-enhancing spending. Chief Economic Advisor says though the move increases spending power in the short term, they erode public investments and worsen the fiscal situation. Lots of action in global tech. Microsoft investors are poorer by a whopping $357 billion as its stock plunges on growth concerns. Meta surges 11% with AI and digital advertising generating robust revenue growth. Apple posts better than expected results but warns of supply constraints, and Amazon to invest $50 billion in OpenAI. Global sell-off spills into India as markets brace for a weak open. Wall Street logs a second straight day of losses led by tech, dragging the S&P 500 and Nasdaq lower while Asian stocks slip ahead of President Trump's Fed chair call. Let's take a look at that first. New U.S. Fed Reserve Chairman could be announced as early as tonight. U.S. President Donald Trump says he intends to announce his pick to replace Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who retires from the job in May. The two have been clashing for the past year on interest rates. The frontrunners for the post of the U.S. Fed Reserve Chairman reportedly include Kevin Warsh, a former U.S. Fed governor, Kevin Hassett, the current White House economic advisor, Christopher Waller, a current U.S. Fed governor, and Michelle Bowman, vice chair of supervision at the U.S. Fed Reserve. Rick Ryder, the current chief investment officer at BlackRock, is also in contention. So lots hanging on that announcement, and we'll, of course, be tracking that closely for you as well.
Well, I think what you're going to see is you will know by the time this movie's over what's going to happen. And I'll be naming the Fed tomorrow morning. I've chosen a very good person to head the Fed. I'll be putting that out tomorrow morning. I'd rather say it tomorrow, but just an outstanding person and a person that won't be too surprising to people. A lot of people think that this is somebody that could have been there a few years ago. It's going to be somebody that is very respected, somebody that's known to everybody in the financial world, and I think it's going to be a very good choice. I hope so.
So I mean, someone who was on your short list, sir?
On my reasonably short list, yeah.
All right, some news coming in on your screen. Precious metals are actually tumbling after the recent rally. MCX silver crashing 23,000. Let's pull that up for you on your screen. Gold is down 7,000. MCX silver down 23,000. Now at 3.76 lakh per kilo. Gold down 7,000 at 1.64 lakhs per 10 grams. That's a tank on those prices. Gold also sliding sharply. Silver is completely in a downward spiral. Remember, this is after a week of record-breaking gains across those precious metals. We've seen new highs almost every single day. So this kind of a crash is not entirely unwarranted, but the volatility is definitely going to spook markets. So right now we're seeing a complete nosedive across gold and silver, and that's what we're looking at for you this morning. Let me also bring in Mayuresh Joshi, who's joining us on the show. Mayuresh, good morning as always. And before I get into the market action, let's just take a look at these precious metal prices and what's going on here. Have you been looking at these closely this week? Because first we've had like eye-popping moves all through the week and closing Friday on a complete nosedive.
Morning, Aabha. No, I think both the precious metals had a humongous run over the last few weeks and months. In fact, silver prices actually doubled in a matter of 2 or 3 months. Gold prices also moved quite sharply based on how geopolitics was shaping up. But I think the humongous rally that we've probably seen, and some news coming out. I think a few minutes back, Trump probably said that a military strike against Iran was not needed. You probably are hearing news where Kremlin is actually inviting Zelensky for peace talks. So I think where we were in a position of huge geopolitical turmoil, I think if there are resolutions coming our way, I think precious metal rally might just the profit booking might just continue. But it all depends in terms of how geopolitics shapes up.
Okay, so this is the first time I guess we're going to have to say you're going to have the heart to invest even in precious metals. They're in for a bit of a ride, and especially silver. That one's definitely more volatile. Okay, heading in for market opening, just 2-3 minutes to go. Wall Street playing havoc, Mayuresh, even though geopolitical elements seem to be calming down or heading for some kind of resolution. Wall Street on the back of tech is, of course, playing spoil sport. So what do we make of it as we enter opening this morning? We're looking like we're heading in for a weak start.
So again, Aabha, I think the entire perspective in terms of AI and the ecosystem and the Substack system surrounding that is something that created a huge rally. But I think how the numbers came out, specifically Microsoft, I think, is there some kind of an AI bubble as well that we are probably looking at? Are we moving too fast in an environment where the dynamics might still take some time to cope up with the entire changes in the AI ecosystem? I think that is what the world will probably grapple with. And therefore, I think a large part of the developed markets, specifically the US markets, which had gone up in terms of this AI rally, is there some element of bubble forming with the numbers that are coming out? I think that is a fear, specifically when it comes to NASDAQ. Dow is still well spread out, S&P Russell is still well spread out. But for NASDAQ and the AI bubble is something that the street is probably fearing at this juncture.
Okay, so relevant concerns coming in there around AI, and that's really what's keeping the markets globally on edge as well. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks in focus as we count down to opening, and then we'll come back and of course talk to Mayuresh about some of them. But today, keep an eye on Vedanta post earnings. Vedanta has also decided to exercise the oversubscription option in the OFS to the extent of 1.5 crore shares of Hindustan Zinc. That's in addition to the base offer. So that's taken place yesterday. Now with this, the total offer size will increase to 4.75 crore shares. That's 1.13% of paid up equity. So Vedanta in the news. We're also watching out for other elements, our news and earnings when it comes to Vedanta as well. We've got Swiggy also on the back of earnings and news. Nomura, in fact, putting a buy call with a target of 546. Talking about strong growth, strong delivery growth and quick commerce growth as well at this point of time, despite competition. So they're sounding positive. And then we've got a whole host of consumer counters, and we'll talk through those in just a moment. Let me bring up those opening ticks for you on your screen and quickly take a look at what's moving this morning. Down on the index in 0.7%, so 25238 is currently what we're trending at on opening ticks, about 200 points down. Not looking so pretty this morning. Precious metals nosedived, as we've been talking about. Markets also a little weak at this point of time. We're also counting down to budget, but we might have had somewhat of early gains in the start of the week ahead of budget, but that quickly dissipated. I think between yesterday and today, we're still seeing weakness persist. IT is looking weak. That's clearly on the back of sentiment overnight. Financial services, banks also continue to look weak. Broader markets are weak today, down about 1% on the mid-cap 100 as well. So it's currently looking not so pleasant in terms of a start to the trading day. Let's see how we progress going forward. In terms of individual stocks and gainers, let's pull up those for you as well. NTPC, Grasim, Titan, a mixed bag when it comes to the gainers list, and it's a very short list. Largely, we've got pressure building up on the downside. So let's see where maximum pressure is coming in this morning and pull that up for you as well. And it looks like Tata Steel, Hindalco, so the metal names, 6% down on a Hindalco, but remember that's That's also possibly on the kind of nosedive we're seeing across some of those metal prices. JSW Steel 1.7% down. Metals across the board today. Financials, IT, so Infi, Wipro down 1.5% right now. So you've got banks, you've got IT, and of course metals. Some of these key pockets are the ones that we're seeing in the red this morning. And 3% down in the metal index. Primarily Hindalco, Hindustan Zinc is down 5% as well. Huge knocks. Mayuresh, is this just a clear out-and-out reaction to the kind of move that we're also seeing on those precious metals? Hindustan Copper is down 7%.
Yes, I think a combination of 2-3 factors. One, I think what's happening with precious metals. One, I think how the dollar index is expected to probably behave. And third, I think the run-up in metals was also substantial. So I think there is some element of profit booking happening here as well.
Profit booking, but I'm just looking at the cuts that we're seeing across the board, and we might have seen some of those stocks inch up, but the cut is sharp. Hindustan Zinc, Nippon Steel, we've got Hind Copper, Hindalco, 5, 6, 7% cuts across the board on these counters. Interestingly, I'll also pull up some of the other losers in a minute, but I'm just going to stay on the screen on metals for a moment because that's where the slash is deep at this point of time. Pull up a Nippon Steel again, pull up a Hindalco again, and we are kind of seeing that, sell-off that we're seeing across metals this morning on the back of what we've seen on the precious metal prices. Let's pull up as well. There you have it. Nippon Silver's down 8% now, 8.5% right now. I'm also going to actually pull up the gold and silver prices. HDFC Silver's down 9% at this point of time. These are sharp cuts today. Profit booking, you may, of course, but still it hurts to see that kind of red on the screen. I've got the Nippon and your gold also down 5.5% right now. Let's pull up a Muthoot Finance also, see how that's doing. All these stocks that usually gain on the back of those silver gold prices are also seeing a complete reversal. Muthoot today down about 3% as well. Let's pull up the COMEX gold and silver prices once again to just show our viewers the kind of cuts that we're seeing across gold and silver both in this morning's trade, and that's why I'm just staying on this for a while because we are seeing a complete knee-jerk reaction across those metal stocks this morning. MCX gold, silver down about 5% in trade this morning. All right, I'm going to switch gears for a moment and let everyone digest this and then come back to Mayuresh and a few other movers. But in an exclusive conversation to India Today, Chief Economic Advisor Dr. V. Ananta Nageshwaran has outlined India's reform journey ahead, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterating that the reform express will continue. The economic survey highlights key signals shaping the next phase. Listen in.
I want to get off on the pitch with what Prime Minister Modi said at the beginning of the Parliament session, which is that the reforms express, the reforms yatra is going to continue. In all of the detail in the survey, sir, what is it that is pointing us to the continuation of the reform yatra?
I think the fact that we have been able to do the deregulation in states and deregulation in the union government, and not only dealing with policy reforms like indirect taxes and direct taxes reforms, but also dealing with the process reforms in the Ministry of Environment, whether it is Ministry of Road Transport, changing the way in which they invite bids not on L1 basis but technical quality basis. So I think what the government has done over the last 15 months or so is to demonstrate that they have sort of grasped the importance of both process and policy reforms. And we mentioned that as an important reason for us to feel confident about upgrading India's potential growth. And on top of that, Chapter 16 of the Economic Survey points out that states have been very enthusiastic in embracing deregulation. So much so that now we are moving on to phase 2, which is like a harder question paper than the phase 1, which was an easier question paper, which all states did very well. So therefore, I think these two combined initiatives of the union and state governments are the ones that give us the confidence that the Reform Yatra or the Reform Express journey is having two equally motivated and enthusiastic engineers, the union government and the state governments collectively.
All right, that's the economic survey. And remember, we're building up to budget, and we'll get you some more insight into what's expected, from a market POV ahead of the budget on Sunday. Remember, first time on a Sunday. Yes, we'll all be here bringing you all the latest from that budget speech, the much anticipated speech this time around. But let's take a look at some of the other pockets of action today. We've been talking about metals, of course, but a whole host of consumer stocks. And Mayuresh, I'll focus on those for a moment. Numbers haven't been great. We're still counting on Dabur reporting today. We've had ITC report as well. I'm just pulling up those numbers. Just give me a second. But all of the stocks, ITC also, yes, Q3 profit has slipped 6% this time around. All of these stocks have not reported great numbers so far, but yet we do have some reasonable amount of buy calls coming in. CLSA this morning also picking a few stocks in the space, which are, I think, a little bit more discretionary. They've looked at Jubilant, Westlife, etc. Maybe not so much FMCG, and that's perhaps where we're seeing the pressure. What do you make of the trend, Mayuresh? Whether it was, a Tata Consumer, whether it's ITC, we're not seeing any great growth coming in from these names.
So what really transpired is the GST rationalization happened by the end of September. And a lot of these companies had to rationalize their inventory, which is the succeeding quarter, which is the October to December quarter. And therefore, a large part of the inventory rationalization with earlier prices pre-GST and post-GST was something to account for. Second, I think in terms of discretionary spending patterns, yes, it did started showing an uptick. I think volumes have been far more stable for a whole host of consumer staple companies. But I think it has not been over the roof. And therefore, I think as inventories get rationalized for a whole host of consumer staple companies, I think these quarters, the succeeding quarters, I think you should successfully see volume-led value growth. I think that is going to be an essential component. Just volumes improving and value not improving will not create an impact on the P&L. But with volumes and value coming back, I think Q4 onwards, you should see far more numbers being in a far more better fashion compared to what we had probably seen as a transitory quarter that was Q3.
All right, got it. Let me also pull up an excerpt of a conversation with Axis Bank Chief Economist Neelkant Mishra. As the budget draws closer, we spoke to him to both decode the eco-survey and also look at some of the messages on growth, fiscal consolidation, global risks that could potentially be addressed in the budget as well.
I think Anant and his team have put together a fascinating and very rich set of analysis. The key takeaways for me, I think, as a market economist, the first is that, that 6.8 to 7.2% growth for FY27. This, I think, sets the stage for, not that this means this is what the budget will be assuming in terms of nominal GDP growth. I think 7% type of real growth and a 10.5% nominal growth assumption in the budget then appears credible. I mean, it will not be fairly largely disconnected from this. I think he very rightly raises the point that India needs to respond to a number of changes that are happening globally in terms of disbelief of or rather reducing belief in open trade, free trade, increasing protectionism, slowing global capital flows, rising global cost of capital, and all the challenges and how we should respond to that. So I think some very fascinating recommendations like eventually targeting a 6% of GDP of general government deficit is absolutely the right thing to recommend. But given where we are, I think it means that there needs to be more fiscal consolidation. Very rightly, there's a whole chapter on urbanization, which I think is one of India's biggest challenges. On certain measures of urbanization, the urban population in India is actually larger than that in China. This is something that warrants, I think, thought at the general government level, so not just central government, but state government. He very rightly talks about the energy transition, the importance and the exciting things that are happening in the survey or in the services sector in India. So there's a lot to go through, but all in all, I think very, very powerful set of analysis. And unlike some of the surveys that we have seen in the past, perhaps which were disconnected from the budget making process, given the stature that Anant carries in the government and what we have seen in the past, some of the comments made in the survey, for example, where earlier he talked about, instead of importing things from China, why not get the Chinese to set up factories in India? And we have seen that the government has started moving in that direction. I think a lot of the analysis that we see needs to be taken very seriously as potential directions in which the government may move.
All right, Mayuresh, let me get a quick budget call from you as well. From a market standpoint, what are you anticipating on Sunday?
Look, I think it should be a very stable and well laid out budget. I think we're coming out with a report very, very shortly. I think by mid-afternoon we should come out with the reports. I think the capital outlay should be decent. The expectations in terms of maintaining the fiscal prudence path should be on track. I think the expectations in terms of rationalization when it comes to capital gains, I think a little bit far-fetched at this point of time. Hopeful, but I think might not happen in this budget. But allocations specifically in key areas, fiscal roadmap, market borrowing program, I think that should probably be within well-defined limits, which should give respite both to the equity and the bond markets equally.
All right, Mayuresh, thank you for that. I'm going to quickly touch upon some of those metal names again because that's where we're seeing a steep cut this morning. Markets have opened weak. Nifty 50 still down about 0.6% below 25,300. We've got the metal index down 4%. We've seen a nosedive on silver and gold prices, and we're seeing that impact across the metal stocks. Hindustan Copper, we've got Hindustan Zinc, a whole host of them across the board seeing cuts of about 6-7% right now. Hindalco's down 5%. We've got the India Nippon Silver Index also down. Vedanta's down 6%. Cuts across the board. That's where I'm going to leave it for you this morning. We'll be back to take you through market closing a little later on.
From how the markets move today to what's setting the stage for tomorrow. From tariffs to taxes, mutual funds to your daily stock queries. Join me as I decode the biggest wealth-creating ideas for you at the closing bell. Watch me as I bring to you the Business Today show every weekday at 3 p.m. only on India Today.
From overnight global cues to live Dalal Street moves, we decode what matters for your money today. From stocks to sectors to the top business news. We've got your morning game plan covered. Watch me, Aabha Bakaya, as I bring you the opening bell action Monday to Fridays, 9:05 a.m. only on India Today.
Markets move today to what's setting the stage for tomorrow. From tariffs to taxes, mutual funds to your daily stock queries. Join me as I decode the biggest wealth-creating ideas for you at the closing bell. Watch me as I bring to you the Business Today show every weekday at 3 p.m. only on India Today.
overnight global cues to live Dalal Street moves. We decode what matters for your money today, from stocks to sectors to the top business news. We've got your morning game plan covered. Watch me, Aabha Bakaya, as I bring you the opening bell action Monday to Fridays, 9:05 a.m. only on India Today. You're with us here on Business Today. Thanks for watching. And we're tracking market action for you. We've actually been looking at all of those metal stocks and how they've been on a nosedive. Let me also welcome in Kunal. Kunal, good morning. Let's get your view first. Those metal prices are drastically crashing today, and we're seeing that move across all the key stocks. Just want to get your take on it. What should one do if one has been invested, even if it may be about a profit booking, but the cuts are steep today?
Well, yes, definitely we have been witnessing some healthy correction in the metal counter since morning, and metal index itself is down by 4%. So yes, we are witnessing some kind of profit booking in across the sectors, and further downside would be there because we have seen some gap down opening on an intraday chart, and waste all the stocks and index has been trading on its daily chart. Further downside would be there. So one suggestion from my side, if you have metals in your portfolio, and if you have bought this for trading perspective, position perspective, or a short-term perspective, then this would be the perfect time to book your profit, because if further extended momentum is there, then we may see some further downside up to the level of 11,600 to 11,400. So yeah, from my side, it's a profit booking suggestions in this metal counters.
Okay, let's pick some of those counters in particular, Kunal. Hinzing, Hindalco, Hindustan Copper, Vedanta. We're seeing cuts across the board. We're also seeing cuts on, a Muthoot Finance or a Manappuram, for instance, obviously naturally. We've seen cuts on, for instance, Nippon India Life, and all of the other indices as well that are related to gold, silver. So, if I had to sort of select specific names and discuss strategy, talk us through some of that. Muthoot is now down 4%, Vedanta is down 8% or 6%. Everything is just seeing a massive nosedive.
Well, yes, definitely. If you talk about Vedanta, Hinzing, Hind Copper, the stocks are down by 8%. No doubt, Tata Steel is also there, Hindalco is also there, Jindal still down by 5%. We talk about one to two stocks, then let's talk about the Hincopper, because in yesterday's trading session we saw good upside momentum. This counter and counter lock, it's up momentum with the upper circuit. Right now stock is trading at 702, and for the downside would be there, because intense selling pressure is there, particularly in this counter, and we have seen gap down opening in its intraday chart. So if we talk about downside level, the way stock has been trading on its daily chart, I think downside would be there up to the level of 662 to 643. So I'm not suggesting to go for short at present level, because volatility is too high for creating any short position, because SL will be at much higher level. But if you have this stock in a position, if you have this stock in a portfolio, and if you have created any position for short term, then this would be the perfect timing to book your profit. Because if stock falls below 643, then it's a back to home momentum would be there for these counters, and after even we may see some further correction up to the level of 577.
Okay, Kunal, we're coming on to budget, of course. Markets looking weak today. Some amount of, tech weakness overnight as well. First, on the index, what's your outlook? 25,299 is where we're at. Do you see any kind of a range that you're watching out for around the budget?
Yes, definitely. Actually, with the Union budget schedule on Sunday, market have already begun pricing in uncertainty, and historically pre-budget are marked by heightened volatility and cautious positioning. As trader brace for potentially policy surprises. In several instances, indices like the Nifty tend to stay under pressure ahead of the budget, while clear direction and a relief rally often emerge once the announcement are fully digested. And if you look about the last 5 Union budget, we have seen that the 4 out of 5 cases the Nifty has delivered a meaningful bounce post budget. So indicating that once uncertainty settle down, market generally respond positively, and similar applicant momentum we can expect after budget. From a levels perspective, Nifty has a strong support zone around 25,000 to 24,800, and on the upside, if the index managed to sustain about 25,450, we could witness sharp short covering, and which may drive the index higher towards the level of 25,600 to 25,900 levels. But important point at this level is like the market has already seen a sharp correction from its recent high, and from a medium to long term perspective, this phase could offer good opportunities for portfolio creation, especially for investors with discipline and staggered approach. So one should capitalize this correction more for creating a long term portfolio.
Okay, let's just pull up Swiggy. Let's just have a look. I've got Nomura actually putting a buy call, talking about consistent growth in food delivery. But CLSA has actually downgraded and cut the target after the Q3 loss. So Swiggy is actually down 6% today. That's a big knock coming in on Swiggy this morning. Kunal, let's get your view in on Swiggy. Eternal's also looking weak, but Swiggy is clearly seeing a reaction post-earnings.
Well, if you talk about Swiggy, right now trading at the 306 level, down by 6%. Technical perspective, strong support comes at 296, and any viewers has position in this counter, then please hold this counter with strict stop loss of 295. We may see some kind of bounce back up to the level of 332, and if counter sustain above 332, then further upside would be there up to the level of 380. So from my side, please from my recommendation, please hold this stock with strict stop loss of 295. Smart bounce back would be there. And if you talk about Eternal, the way stock has been trading on its daily chart, now right now stock is trading at 273. Stock has already taken the support of its previous bottom, which it formed at 256, and right now stock is trading at 273. And the way stock has been trading since last 2 trading sessions, I think sharp bounce back would be there, and we may see some nod for directs in the counter up to the level of 288. And if stock sustain above this level, then further upside would be there up to the level of 310. So from technical perspective, Eternal Zomato looks very attractive at present level with strict stop loss of 255.
Okay, we've got Nomura's buy call on Swiggy at with a target of 546. It's only at 300 right now. I mean, isn't that a very aggressive call on Swiggy, Kunal?
Well, no doubt Swiggy is trading right now at 305 level, and the way this stock is trading on its daily chart, and if you talk about overall consumption theory and habit, the eating habit of our Indian consumers, I think further bounce back for long term story is there for this counter, and further bounce back that we can say this counter. Trading perspective, 347, 380 would be there, and stock sustain this level, then even it may touch its intermediate high, which is form at 480. So yeah, from my perspective, I think this would be the perfect counter. Nothing to worry about this counter for long term perspective.
Okay, so analyst views are really mixed on this one. On one hand, extreme reaction post earnings. On the other hand, someone like Monura talking about a 70% upside. I'm just looking at what Swiggy is saying. They've of course raised a whole host of funds, and for example, Nomura is big on the quick commerce story, but CLSA is saying that it's a complete miss on revenue and EBITDA estimates. They've cut the target price now to 335, so that's a huge divergence in how market analysts are viewing Swiggy at this point of time. They've said that Swiggy is maintaining its contribution to break-even guidance, but the path to achieving it appears steeper, so they're not sounding very confident. Morgan Stanley's retained an equal weight. It's also lowered its target price to 375 as well. So, while they acknowledge that the management has taken steps to protect profitability, however, they're saying there's limited visibility when it comes to the kind of competition that we're seeing, and still awaiting any kind of meaningful re-rating there. So that's Swiggy for you this morning. What else is on your radar, Kunal?
Sorry, on which counter we are talking about?
What are your topics?
Yeah, my top picks is like Reliance. I'm not suggesting to go for any long position, particularly for trading perspective or positions perspective. But yeah, I'm suggesting to go for long in Reliance because Reliance looks very attractive at present level. And this picks is for medium term to long term portfolio creation, not for trading perspective, because volatility is too high for upcoming trading session. So one can get into the stock at present levels. Right now, stock is trading at 1388, and the stock has strong support at 1360. If you talk about target wise, we may see some good upside momentum even up to the level of 1500 to 1600, and the way stock has been trading on its weekly and monthly chart, it looks like that we can see some kind of bounce back in these counters, and some northward march will be there. So it's for medium term to long term portfolio creation, not for trading perspective. Reliance looks very attractive at present level.
Okay, that's Reliant, and let's leave it there. That's Kunal's pick for you. Keep an eye on the markets. Pressure mostly right now when it comes to the metals index. Otherwise, still a weak start. We'll be back with more updates and talk you through the day. Keep an eye on some earnings as well. And now we're just counting down to budget. That's where we'll leave it for you this morning. Thanks for watching.
शाम तक रुको, अभी कल शपथ ली है ना उनका।